Yes, guys. Hello. Welcome back to the SpursRelated YouTube channel. Hope everyone's doing well. Halfway through the week, and that means halfway more a week. That is not English. Towards the Premier League season. I'm absolutely buzzing. 3 more days. Oh, actually 2 more days till the season kicks off on Friday night with obviously Palace versus Arsenal. Can't say I'm looking forward to that one too much, but listen, it's Premier League football. We're back on Saturday. And I've got alongside me Joseph McBride. Joe, how you doing? We are going to be talking about the Premier League awards, and we'll get into things in just a minute. But yeah, like I said, Joe, how you doing, mate?
Buzzing. Literally 48 hours from now will be, we haven't been paid for us for this, but 48 hours, yeah. Sky Sports will be on. Friday Night Football will be there, and it'll just be back to normal again. And I can't wait for that. Obviously, it's come around quicker than before. Like because of the World Cup, we would have had to wait another couple of weeks normally. But I'll take it. I'm buzzing. I've missed it. So the Lionesses have kept us going though.
Yeah, exactly. The Lionesses and all those friendlies that I can't say were too entertaining from a Spurs point of view. I don't know how good the Liverpool ones were, Joe. But yeah, listen, can't wait for actual competitive football to be back. And obviously not long till the Champions League as well, which we can all look forward to. But the idea of this video is kind of an extension to the video I did with Joe about a week ago now, where we predicted, obviously we did the Premier League predictions, and obviously we also did who's going to get, the Golden Boot Award. But this one is a bit of an extension. We're going to go for a few different categories, which we think would be fun. And the guys in the chat, the guys that are watching, we want you guys to let us know what you think on these awards too. So just to quickly read out, we'll quickly cover who we think is going to win the Premier League, although that's no secret on that one if you watched our video last week. Then we're going to do overachievers of the season in terms of the team, the biggest team flop of the season, the most improved player of the season, top assist / playmaker of the season, most goals from a single team. If you remember, I think it was 3 seasons ago, Man City scored 100 points. And was it 100 goals as well, Joe? So yeah, that's something to go by. Yeah, breakthrough player. So this kind of is a player that's already kind of on the fringes, but he's going to really step it up another level this season. And then you've got player of the season, Premier League player of the season / PFA player of the season, and top scorer, Golden Boot winner. Obviously, we went through who we think is going to score the most for Tottenham next season. I think Jack and Andre said Harry Kane. I believe, Joe, we've mentioned it before. We all think pretty much Harry Kane's going to be the top scorer for Spurs, and it's going to be a really good season for him. But let's get into things. Joe, any comments on how this is going to work in your eyes as well? Like any surprises you've got on your list? Maybe don't give them away yet, but is there a few surprises, do you think?
I don't think mine's too kind of left field. I think my flop team might come as a surprise, but at the same time, if you saw my predictions, you'll probably know who it is. But no, I think it's pretty well balanced. I haven't gone for anything too out there and too controversial. I'd say it's pretty sensible, but at the same time, it's what I think. So if I'm wrong, then I'll happily be heckled like the Spurs lot do love.
There you go. But I tell you what, let's get straight into things. If you're playing in the chat as well, let us know in the comments and we'll bring those up. But we'll start off with, like I said, the first one, which we'll very quickly gloss over because it's not a nice one in terms of being honest from a Tottenham point of view and also from your Liverpool point of view, Joe. Premier League winner. Now, of course, we all watch the Premier League. We all live and dream of winning it. Joe, you've had great, glory in the last couple of years. But from a Tottenham point of view, it kind of hurts talking about a Premier League winner because, unfortunately, if you're being realistic, we're not winning it this year. But I personally think the Premier League winner this season, very quickly, is going to be Manchester City. And the reason being, I just think their squad depth is incredible, like compared to most teams. I think Liverpool come next close. And then you'd probably argue anywhere between sort of Chelsea, Tottenham have the next best squad depth. But Manchester City, 5 subs next season. That squad depth is going to be so key in terms of winning the Premier League. By the way, they've won the Premier League 3 times in the last 4 years. It's just incredible. They've kind of gone on a Man United run where they went on a run, at the end of 2000s and just couldn't stop winning the Premier League. So, yeah, pretty easy for me, Man City. And I think Erling Haaland, a lot of people are already giving him stick, but this guy is gonna honestly, I think he's gonna be formidable. Like I think he is really gonna be. It's probably gonna take 4, 5, 6 games, but I think he'll just hit the ground running. He'll start scoring hat tricks. He's an absolute freak. Him and Mbappe for me, the next gen kind of Ronaldo, Messi. But anyway, Joe, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, I agree. Annoyingly, I think it's actually 4 in the last 5 because it was Leicester, and then ever since then it's been City, and then Liverpool had the 1 year, which I'll never forget. But yeah, I think it's going to be them. I mean, I think Liverpool again will do their best to come close. I still think Mane is going to be a huge miss, and if Nunes can settle in really well, he obviously scored in the Community Shield, then you'll never know. But I just think City is so well gelled. I think Liverpool have got like a season of transition again. They got a lot to change, and let's not forget Tottenham. I know you said they have no chance of winning it, but who knows what's going to come from them? They're definitely the improved side. They're definitely the team to fear at the moment. But I think City, they've got everything there. They've managed to, not actually have any net spend and bring in one of the, most promising strikers in the world, Calvin Phillips, who knows the league and is really solid and makes that Leeds team a lot better, or did anyway. Been dealt a blow of Cucurella, but I think that was just kind of a, icing on the cake for them. I don't think he's really needed. I just think they'll probably do. I don't think they'll win it by a massive margin, but I still think they'll be comfortable. So yeah, I think it has to be Man City, and I think most people have said that across the country and across the world.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be the strong favourites, but yeah, I think you're spot on. The 4 seasons in the last 5. You're right. I had to check because I couldn't believe it. You're right. Chelsea won it in 2018, I think it was 2017.
No, I don't think did they win it then? Was it?
Chelsea won the Premier League in 2016 to 17. So if you go for the last year. And then it was Man City won it in 2018, 19, then Liverpool 2020, then City 21, and City 22. It's absolutely crazy. Let's have a look at the chat, Joe, because a few people starting to join now, which is absolutely great. It's nice to get your opinions. Leo saying Zaha. I'm guessing you mean most improved.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be a great shout. Joe, Emil thinks City for the league. Liverpool have better depth than City, says Leo. Joe,
there is an argument for that. Genuinely, now that Calvin Ramsey's come in, he's not proven, but we have a decent right back now. Joe Gomez has signed a new contract that can go all over the defense. Matip, Konate, Van Dijk, and obviously, as I said, Gomez. There's 4. Robertson and Tsimikas. He was really good last year when he had to step up. Kelleher's a banging backup for Alisson. The midfield's the one thing that City are a lot more packed in. We've got world-class players in Thiago, Fabinho, Henderson. But other than that, we've got to rely on, Naby Keita, Curtis Jones, Chamberlain's out again. Harvey Elliott isn't proven just yet. He could be a breakthrough one. Signed Fabio Carvalho. The attack's good, but I think they just... we may have a bit more kind of depth on paper, but in terms of genuine quality and just the amount of things they can do, I think City have got that in their locker. Okay,
interesting. But it's good that you're saying it, because I want it to be close at the end of the day, whether it's Tottenham and Man City, Liverpool, Man City, whatever it is.
Not as close as last year. I'd rather them just won at the beginning, not go 2-0 down and then them come. No, I wasn't happy with that. As you're aware, because I was with you for that, and that was painful.
Exactly. Someone was asking, is this a Premier is live? It is completely live now. You're spot on with that one. Golden Boots here. Welcome, mate. He's saying we are in for Udogi. I still don't know how to say this guy's name, but yes, Fabrizio Romano said about an hour ago, tier 1 source, that Spurs are in for left wing back / left back Udogi.
I think it's
Destiny Udogi.
Could be wrong.
Udogi. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know who he is, but he plays for Udinese. Apparently, he's fairly promising, quite young, but I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do a stats analysis / breakdown of this guy if things progress. But that is the latest on that one, just to quickly update you. Leo's right. Can't underestimate what Liverpool have in terms of squad depth. And Indraniel says Kane, Salah, Haaland, Golden Boot. We're getting to Golden Boot. It's in... It's actually right at the end of the video, so you have to stay to the end of the video if you want to hear that one. But next we have got overachievers of the season. Now this isn't the player. This is in terms of the team. So let me give you an example. If a certain team is expected to get relegated and they actually end up 13th, 14th, probably the best example is Brentford last year. I'd say they overachieved for what they did. Would you agree, Joe?
Eriksen helped, but yeah, they did definitely. They did really well.
but they probably at the start of the year were one of the favourites to go down. Would you agree?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. They're well run, so that's helped them, and I actually think they'll be like a Brighton and not go down now. But yeah, they did amazing. It's like Sheffield United when they came up and came like 9th or whatever it was ridiculous.
There you go. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, Sheffield United is a very good example 3-4 years ago. Maybe not even that. But Joe, do you want to start off on this one?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be Aston Villa, and it's not just purely because of the bias of Steven Gerrard as manager. I just think he's had a pre-season now, whereas he came in November before and took over from Dean Smith, who had reinvested the Jack Grealish money in players that he wanted. Gerrard's had a good win though. This Kamara, Marseille fans absolutely rave about him, and he's solid in midfield. Diego Carlos, they need a centre back because they were kind of, Tyrone Mings is questionable. Conte is good on his day, but other than that, Callum Chambers and Courtney Hall's, like they needed a bit of experience there. Coutinho on a permanent deal, he can settle now. And I think there's more to come from players like Buendia and Leon Bailey, who didn't really hit the ground running last year. I just think there's a lot of potential in that squad. Obviously, they've lost Matt Target, but they got Digne in, they got Matty Cash. They've actually got a really good team. And I just think with no European football just yet, I know that's what they're going for. And that time with Gerrard, I say overachiever. I can't really finish last year. I think it was bottom table, bottom half of the table.
They kind of flopped, didn't they, at the end?
They were very inconsistent. They had a good start on the Gerrard, and they were kind of yo-yoed, but I could see them push, maybe not getting into the top 7, but really pushing it and having like a really decent season. Do you remember back in like 2006, and they had like Milner and Young, and they were decent. I think they could kind of get back to that level again.
Thomas Hitzelsberger, of course. Yeah. Patrick Berger. Aston Villa, yeah, they came 14th last season. They really did fall off, didn't they? Because
I expect them to get top half. That's my kind of outside shout.
Okay, interesting. Let's see what the chat is saying on this one, and then I'll get into my one. Golden Boot saying just call him Benji if that doesn't work. Yeah, about Udogi. Yeah, we'll do that. Nick, Facebook is saying Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man U are your top 6. I'm pretty sure that is my top 6 as well. Exactly that. So very interesting. Emil's saying I fancy Villa for a blinding dark horse season run. Leo's going for Forest or Brentford as his underachievers. Overachievers. Apologies. Indranil saying West Ham, Aston Villa to cause trouble for the top 6 teams. Wow. Do you agree with this, Joe? I think you do, right?
I think West Ham will probably be around 7th again. I do have one concern with them, and it's just the Conference League. It takes so much out of a team. I mean, in the next qualifying round, they've got to either go to Copenhagen or to the Faroe Islands for their qualifying game. I just think having that on a Thursday, this Skamaka striker looks decent, but he's not proven. There's a lot of unknown quantities, but they have a decent team spirit there. I know David Moyes does really well with pre-season. They runs them ragged. And Declan Rice as captain is going to step up, and I think he's quality. But the jury's out on that one. But I think West Ham, they've had a good few years. They finally settled in at the London Stadium. I know Tottenham fans don't want them to. We'll see.
Okay, interesting. Gomboot thinks Gerrard is a bad manager like Lampard. Can see both getting the sack this year. Joe, over to you on that one.
No, the thing is with Lampard, he went to Derby, basically abused the loan system back then. Got Mason Mount on loan, Tomori on loan, Harry Wilson on loan. Half his team was loan players that were, Premier League ready. Did really well. Didn't quite make the playoffs, but it was a good run. He kind of proved himself. Chelsea brought him in. He got 18 months purely because of the transfer ban. Made him look better. He had to forcibly use the youth players, and there was the kind of pressure off. Obviously, he didn't really get too much time with the signings he made. Kai Havertz, Timo Werner didn't really work out too well. And I don't know, he seems to turn on the Palace job. The Norwich job, obviously, he didn't want. He's gone to Everton. And I'm not saying there's a lot to work with there. He's probably been dealt a bit of a harsh hand. But the difference, obviously, with Gerrard, I know Scotland isn't seen anywhere near as decent level as probably even Championship. But to do the unbeaten season, to ruin Celtic's 10th in a row, it takes some quality to do that. And he does have a bit of nous about him. I think Gerrard is a bit higher up at the moment, but there's no reason why Lampard couldn't get there.
Interesting. Very interesting debate. Yeah, it's certainly one we could have even had a whole video on, Joe, I think. But Emil saying, I think Gerrard is a good manager showing promise. Look at how well he did with Rangers and what he's brought to Villa. I think he's got a plan. And kind of pretty much what you're saying, made good signings. Gone Boot saying Rangers. I think
they might be going out already.
Yeah. Over 192 matches, Rangers scored 2.12 goals. God, Emil with the stats. He's on flash scores as well. Look at that. One tab of flash scores, on tab on YouTube. Emil, absolutely love it. Indrani was saying mid-table predictions. Who looks more decent? Again, we could potentially get into that. There is actually a video in Dranil, if you want to watch after this, where we did the whole Premier League predictions on the table 1st to 20th. We did that with Joe Max. It's actually a really good video. His dad ended up joining us as well. It was good fun. Villa were terrible under Gerrard last season. I think they just fell off. Listen, let's leave that one for a second. My overachiever, and Joe, I know we've kind of debated this, is can I say they're an overachiever or can I not?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm going with what I was saying earlier to you, and that is Nottingham Forest are going to be one of the favourites to get relegated. At the end of the day, they went up in the playoffs. I think I predicted them as 13th or 14th this season.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be similar to a Brentford situation, where I think that they're going to honestly overachieve. I think they've made some good signings. Nico Williams is a good signing. I think you'll agree with me on that one.
Yeah.
They made. I think Jesse Lingard will do well for them. I think it'll be another West Ham story where I'm not saying he's an amazing player, but I think he's at his level. Maybe it's probably under his level, but to be honest with you, he'll rip it up for them. I really do think he will. I think he could score 10, 12 goals, which could be absolutely key. So for me, I think Forest will stay up, overachieve, and essentially they're going to be in the bottom three or four to get relegated, and I don't think they will. So yeah, I'm going for Nottingham Forest.
Fair enough. Yeah, my only concern was the amount of players they've signed. I know, obviously, if you had a war chest and playing Football Manager, it's great. But in terms of Premier League, QPR did it, went down. Fulham did it, went down. It takes a lot for those giant signings to gel. And I don't know, they are good players. Like they signed an old Liverpool striker, Awanimi, I think from Union Berlin. Had one good season, and now he's going to be leading the line because obviously Graban's getting on. And Brennan Johnson is there still. They do have the good players there. I'm just a bit concerned about the amount they've brought in and whether it's all going to gel at the same time. I think they've bought 3 new defenders that they're going to have to put at the back. But Steve Cooper is a very good manager, and he definitely won't be going back down to the Championship if they do.
Very true. He's kind of like I'd say he's on like a Graham Potter level. He's been that good.
Not quite, honestly. But he's I mean, he's the only one that's won European, with England. Obviously, he was under 17s or whatever it was.
I mean, there's a debate there. Maybe not quite as good as Graham Potter, but I think, a similar story, isn't it? Where he kind of come, from Championship to Graham Potter came from the Swedish league, didn't he? Or something like that.
So fact for the Spurs lot, I was at the Emirates when they beat Arsenal 2-1 and it all kicked off.
Love it.
That was nice.
Awani is that striker. £18 million they spent on him. Nico Williams, £18 million. Aurel Mangala from Stuttgart, £12 million centre mid. Naya Keita from Mainz, £9 million centre back. Bayern Kone, £9 million right back. 7 million left back from Bayern Munich. Omar Richards, I've heard of him. So you're right. They've signed like 10
Dean Henderson on loan. So out of their back 5, including the goalkeeper,
and Wayne Hennessy, on a free.
Yeah. Well, they got rid of Bryce Samba, so they brought in a new 1 and 2. They've got 3 out of their 4 defenders changed. I can't remember the name of their centre half, but he's usually quite good. I think it's like, I'm not going to try McShane or something like that. McKenna, I think it's McKenna. They've just pretty much bought a new team, and if they can gel, then who knows? But I just think it's troublesome.
Yeah, exactly. They got rid of Carl Jenkinson to the A-League, Newcastle Jets. I don't think that's going to be a massive loss, to be honest with you. And Lewis Graben is now a free agent, so there you go. But
he's getting on, isn't
he? He is, he is. But listen, that is my overachievers. Let's get straight into the next one, Joe. Let's keep it moving. Let's go with maybe a little bit of a controversial one. Your flop team of the year.
Me first, yeah?
You first.
I predicted them to get relegated, which caused a bit of a stir, but I think Southampton are going to be the flop team. So I'm just going to quickly close my window for some reason. There's all sorts going on. But
I'll take over for a minute.
I think Southampton. They've again made some decent signings, and since I kind of predicted, they have brought in a couple of decent players. But again, it's just they're all young. I mean, other than Joe Aribo, that's looking quite promising. I think they've signed 3 or 4 players that are all the age of 19 or under, and that's a big ask anyway. And I don't think their team's that decent. There's a lot of pressure on Che Adams and Adam Armstrong to deliver the goals. They've just signed this guy from Bordeaux that's 19, not proven. And I just think Hasenhüttl goes through stages. He'll go through a stage where he loses a load. There's a lot of pressure, and then he'll turn it around a little bit. And I don't know how many times that can keep happening. And I could see them going on a bad run, Southampton acting quickly, him getting the sack. And I just think their race has been run. They'll probably finish about 14th, 15th now. But I'm going to go for it. Is that I guess that's my one semi-bold one. I said they were going to get relegated. So they can't not be my flop team.
No, I don't think it's that controversial. Listen, I disagree with you, and I've already said this. I don't think Southampton will go down because they always find a way. And a bit like Burnley, maybe you're right. They may not find a way this season, and maybe it is time. But Golden Boot thinks Brentford will struggle. And Leo's made a good point. Brighton coming off a great season, losing Bissouma and Cucurella. And literally, Fabrizio Romano's just tweeted saying it's done. Cucurella to Chelsea, £50 million. Wow.
Nice.
So that is done. And Brighton, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, have lost their two best players.
Yeah, they have.
By far, to be honest.
They have, but they're not stupid. They're a very well-run club, and I think they could see this coming. They brought in this Caicedo and Mwepu that are looking quite good in midfield. I think they were preparing for Bissouma to go. Cucurella, they've already been playing Trossard at left wing back in pre-season. Like they're preparing for it again. He scored a hat-trick from there the other day. Obviously, it's going to be a huge loss, and they're not going to be as good without them. They could. Yeah, I guess flop. It depends what you say as a flop because they have overachieved in the last couple of years, and I think that's potentially distorted everyone's judgment on where they should be finishing. I don't think they'll go down. I think they're a well-run club, and there's still a month to go, and they can reinvest that 50 million or 70 million in total into new players. So we'll see.
There you go.
And one thing about Southampton as well, Kyle Walker-Peters is still heavily linked to an exit, and I think if he goes, that could be huge.
Yeah. Very, very true. So where's Kyle Walker-Peters linked?
He's also linked with Chelsea because apparently they're just linked with every defender. Man City have changed, they've been linked as well. I don't think he will leave, but I think he's a really good player and I think he is better. Yeah, there you go.
Ian, happy birthday. It is Ian's birthday in the chat, so happy birthday to you. Right. Mine, see, we had this debate earlier, didn't we, offline, Joe? And I originally said Bournemouth is a flop team, but I don't think that you don't think that justifies as a flop team because they're expected to go down, which is fair enough.
They're expected to come last, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going back to the video that we did with Max last week, and I am going to say that the biggest flop team, and I know you don't agree, so we don't agree on each other's flop teams, is Leeds. I think Leeds are going down this season, and I'll tell you why. And a lot of people don't agree with me on this one, so this is my controversial one, Joe. This is my turn. But yes, they were without Bamford for a lot of last season, but just think they have lost their two best players by far, in my opinion. Rafinha, and yes, he scored a lot of penalty goals, Joe. I get your argument on that. But if you look at the class of that player, he did make things tick for Leeds
of course,
when they needed goals. Then you go to Calvin Phillips, who they didn't have for a lot of last season. Look how much they struggled without him. They nearly got relegated because he was injured for a lot of the months at the end of last season. So for me, the fact they've lost him for the whole season because he's gone to Man City to sit on the bench and Rafinha's gone. Yes, they've got players in. Yes, they've signed a couple of these American internationals that you think could be good. But to be honest with you, I'm still not convinced on this Jesse Marsch. I think he'll get sacked probably before January, if I'm being honest. I think they'll then panic. They'll probably sign a couple of loan players in January to try and save themselves. I could be completely wrong. Listen, they could come 12th. But that is my prediction on flop team of the season. What are your thoughts, Joe?
Well, I think I predicted them to come 17th. So I can't really say I disagree with you. I think they'll have enough to stay up, but I also wouldn't. I know it sounds like a 50-50 answer. I also wouldn't be massively shocked if they went down. I just think they might have enough. But I think I like Leeds probably more out of hope wanting them to stay in the Premier League. And I think your shout of them to go by January is very feasible. With the World Cup being obviously like between November and December, I reckon there could be quite a few panic sackings just before that starts so they can have time to get someone else in.
Yeah, and Golden Boot thinks that as well, Lampard.
Yeah, I mean, if Jesse Marsch is going to be given pretty much the whole 90 mil to reinvest and then, not do well by the time of October, November, he's going to go because, Leeds can't afford to go back down again. They've just spent 16 years in the lower leagues. They need to stay up, so they'll do whatever they can.
There you go. Interesting. So, Joy Boy's in here. Thanks for joining. He says, Cucurella is a panic buy funny. The guy can play 3 places in last season and had the 3rd highest chances created by a wingback. Only 2 other players ahead of him. Trent and Reese. Madness. Are you what? I don't really get this
I
point.
think he's backing Cucurella. I didn't say it was panic buy. Was that someone else in the chat?
I think he's people good. In the chat. I think people saying Chelsea making panic signings here. But to be honest with you, I think he's a class player. But is 50 million a lot? I think you could say that that's a panic in the sense that is a big price. Is Cucurella 50 million in this market, Joe? What do you think?
It depends where he plays, because I just can't see them dropping Chilwell or Reece James. So I'm convinced that obviously one of them is going to have to play as an inside centre-back. Reece James did that a little bit last year towards the end, and especially in the Champions League. But I assume that he's going to stay there and they're going to have Cucurella inside, because I don't think Chilwell can play centre-back. 50 mil it's pretty mad though. I think Brighton literally bought him last summer for 14, maybe 16.
Yeah, it wasn't
and Barcelona let him go to Getafe for peanuts. So they're probably annoyed again at that, but terrible business. I think the price tag's a lot, and I think that's why Brighton said it. They were like, we don't want to let him go, but if this comes in, that's something we can't refuse. They did the same with Ben White, and they looked fine with Duncan Webster and Dan Burn until he left. Obviously, Bissouma's a big one, but I think they'll be all right. I think there's other players, and the fact City didn't want to spend the money, if they really wanted him, they would have got him, and the fact that they've gone for this guy from Anderlecht instead now obviously shows that they weren't convinced on the price either. So I think it's a panic buy in the sense that they've maybe potentially spent over the odds just because they need someone. But I don't think Cucurella falls under that category of panic buy because he is very good. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
I think
yeah. And one thing maybe we didn't mention, Joe, is I know you said that Brighton bought him last summer, literally
Getafe,
not even a year ago, right?
Yeah,
Brighton bought him, and they signed him on a 5-year contract, so till 2026. So the release clause would have been pretty big on that to buy out 4 years worth of contract, right?
I don't think they had one. That's what I mean. I don't think Brighton usually do that. They leave it open-ended so they can set their own price tag rather than, release clauses can be great, and it can be obviously a way of some players negotiate them in their contracts so they can leave. Obviously, Borussia Dortmund are probably hating the fact they did one with Haaland. Can imagine the money they could have got for him. But yeah, I think 50 mil is probably Brighton are losing their best player from last season, in my opinion. But at the same time, you probably wouldn't turn down 50 million for Cucurella. I think that's mad. So maybe it's a good deal all round. Maybe it's a good deal for Brighton. I don't know. It's a weird one.
Let's see. Quite a few more of you joining now. Little mid video sort of plug to smash the thumbs up. If you want more content like this, we're trying to do as daily content as possible. Bringing you guys daily content. Of course, Jack on Saturday is going to the Tottenham game. He's going to bring you guys a vlog, which hopefully everyone will love. We'll do a pre-match analysis tomorrow with myself, Jack, and Andre, reviewing the Southampton game, all the team news, all the predicted lineups, etc., and our score predictions. So there is so much content coming. So please subscribe if you're sitting there in the chat and you're not subscribed, and smash the like button. That does help the channel tremendously. Thank you very much for all that are joining. Paul's in here as well now. Big up. Louis in here. Simply Ace. Appreciate all you guys joining. Indra Neil says Wilson Esbrand to step up for City. Haven't got a clue who that is. Is he?
I don't know anything about him. I just know of him.
Okay. And Joybo saying, well, to be fair, Richarlison is 6 million is a lot. Well, we need to see how the season goes for him with Tottenham. Exactly. That could essentially be a flop signing. I'm going to completely admit that. I'm someone that's not fully on board with this Richarlison hype. I've got to see good things for him before I can get on board with it, because to me, 60 million for Richarlison is a lot. I know, Joe, you quite, even as a Liverpool fan, you were quite fond of him. But for me, I still think that's a lot of money for Richarlison, considering he's probably not going to start most games.
I think it's a lot of money, but the fact that you've got that for a promising attacker that starts for Brazil compared to a wing back that's been at Brighton for one season, is mad. You take, instead of spending 50 mil on Cucurella, you take 60 mil for a free transfer in Perisic and Richarlison any day of the week. Fond of him. be careful how you say that. He's annoyed me on so many occasions. I just think he's a really good player, and I think he's that player that everyone loves, like everyone hates, but if it's at your club, you absolutely love him, like a Zaha kind of type. He's a Lamella with quality, in my opinion.
Lamella quality, yeah, get that one clipped up. Most improved player, Joe. I'm going to move on to this one, and we had a little discussion offline about this one, didn't we? And we've gone for two different players. So do you want to start with your one? I think this one is a good shout.
Yeah, I don't even know who you went for in the end, so it's going to be interesting. But
okay.
I think this is Harvey Barnes' time to really shine. He's shown promise anyway. I think he got 10 goals a couple of seasons ago. Last season, he had a bit of a dip, a bit of an injury and fitness issue. Just got the 6 goals, but he did get 10 assists. So, I'm expecting a big rise from him. I'm expecting like a Jared Bowen kind of season from Harvey Barnes this year. No European football to worry about. Leicester have just lost Schmeichel, but in terms of their actual squad, if they can hold on to Maddison, if Vardy can stay fit, and the fact that he'll be playing less games will help that. They've still got Daka and Iheanacho too. I think they've got a really decent attack. And I just think Harvey Barnes is quality. With the World Cup in November, he's going to want to be, kind of knocking on the door. He was in and around the team like last year, and since then has dropped off. So he's going to want to try his best to get back into it. I just think he's really good. I think he's got so much to his game. And I think it's finally time for a breakthrough season. Well, not breakthrough, sorry, but like that to really, assert himself as a quality player.
Okay. I think he's a great player anyway. He obviously had injury problems last year, like you were saying. But yeah, I think he's really, really going to come on for this season for Leicester. How many goals do you think he'll get out of curiosity?
So yeah, I could see him, getting, I'd say, I'm going to go bold, say 13, maybe 14 goals next year, which I think for the left-sided players is a decent coup, especially for a team that, aren't going to be scoring as many goals as the teams at the top of the table. I think it's going to depend on Vardy as well. They seem to link up really well. But yeah, 6 goals last year. I think he got like 10 assists, which is actually really good. I'm going to say he's going to at least double that goal tally, which for me will be a massive improvement.
There we go. Bang. Have that. So, Joe, I've kind of cheated for this. I haven't cheated for this one. I haven't got anything on the screen, and the reason why is because I can't choose between 2 or 3 players. So I'm going to explain them all, and I'm going to then see. I'm going to make it more interactive. I'm going to see what the chat, you guys are thinking on this one. So my thinking was Crystal Palace, I think, will have an okay season. They did all right under Vieira last season. He got them ticking, didn't he? They started playing more attacking football. It was more entertaining to watch than under Roy Hodgson in previous seasons. And obviously, they've got 2 young attackers, wingers that are very, very good players. Michael Olise and Eze. They're both very decent players. And now I can't choose which one is better. Some people think Eze and some people think Olise. What do you think, first of all, Joe, on them both? I think they're going to come on even more. They showed signs that they were very promising players last season, but I think they might step it up again this season, along with Zaha. And that's why I think Palace could be a bit of a tricky team to beat. And I think Arsenal could struggle on Friday, to be honest with you.
Arsenal will definitely struggle. I mean, Selhurst Park is one of the most intimidating atmospheres in the Premier League. So mix that with the fact that everyone from Croydon's obviously missed out on football for weeks. They're going to be proper up for it. And I think, Arsenal struggled with how Brentford were. And it's not going to be the same in terms of a, historic night. But in terms of that power that they'll have, I think will be a tough one. But I think Eze is a better player at the moment. I think Olise, I've watched him and he's got some proper class about him. I think they can both become really good. They're different players, but I think Olise's got a bit more of that wow factor. Eze just looks really solid, and I think he needs that really decent year. And I know they're obviously not midfielders, but they need to make up for Conor Gallagher not kind of stealing the headlines this time. I think as well, Odsonne Edouard's one for there. They've got a really nice attack now. So I think Vieira's going to get him ticking, and I think they're definitely good shouts. So the fact that they play for the same team and for similar positions, I'm not going to slate you for that.
There you go, exactly that. The other one that it's a difficult one because I know he was injured for a lot of last season, but I know he's a promising player. Pedro Neto for Wolves. I don't think Wolves are going to have a great season this year. But when he was playing, he's a very small player. He's very tricky. He's very hard to tackle. I know Spurs have struggled against him before. He doesn't get loads of goals, but again, I think he's always struggled with injury. So I think potentially if he can stay fit, he could be Wolves' answer to staying up this year, along with obviously Raul Jimenez, who didn't obviously have the best of seasons last season, but if he can work up front with Pedro Neto, I think it could really work.
Yeah, well, Jimenez is out for about a month already. He's going injured again, so Neto's going to have to step up. At the moment, they've got Hwang Hee-chan, who they signed on a permanent. And speaking of Palace, they're actually in talks to sign Benteke as, I think, like an instant replacement for now, who can be really good, but also can be a bit of a flop.
For Wolves?
Yeah, seriously. Neto, though, is quality. I think out of that team, out their attackers, he kind of gives me Jota vibes from back in the day, which obviously is someone I'm very happy with. Yeah, I think he's really good. And if he can stay fit and have a decent season, I think that would be great for him. And it'll probably seek him a move next summer, to be fair.
There you go. And he's only 22 as well. So very good player. So do you know what? I've talked about the Palace guys a lot, but I just feel like Pedro Neto is my kind of outside of the box one. So I'm going with him as my concrete choice, but I do think the Palace guys will have a good season as well. Couple of comments from Indranil saying Luis Diaz just started playing like he knew the Premier League last season. Also, Jesus in the end of last season played good. And pre-season he was good. So maybe Luis Diaz steps it up even another level, starts contributing to more goals and assists with the lack of obviously Mane's contribution now. Yeah. Someone's got to fill those goals, and it could be Luis Diaz very, very easily, to be honest with you. Perisic is a 33-year-old old man. Let's see how he adjusts. Go on, Boo. I mean, first of all, 33. Come on. Look at Ibrahimovic, 41 years old, still playing for AC Milan. It's absolutely incredible. And the sports science these days, I think people jump to conclusions. As soon as someone hits 30, suddenly they're an old man. But listen, if you watch him in the pre-season, he is bombing up and down those wings. He's going to be a very good player for Spurs. He's probably one of the most exciting players we've signed, to be honest with you. And there you go, Finn confirms that. Elise and Eze will shine, says Finn. We've had a very average standard Levy window. Golden Boot's gone right on a negative one. And are you guys getting set up a fantasy league for fun? We are. We did mention it in the last video. That will be coming on our social media probably tomorrow. If not, probably do it last minute on Friday like I normally do. And Jack to watch at City, Jack Grealish. He didn't hit the ground running really last season, but this could be a good suggestion. What do you think, Joe?
Well, the thing is, if you say most improved at City, 100%, most improved in the Premier League, like we know what he can offer. He definitely hasn't justified the price tag just yet. But I think with Sterling going, he's going to be guaranteed even more game time. And I think if he can get some sort of connection with Haaland, that could be pretty devastating.
There you go. Yeah, it really could. Gonna move on because we're only halfway through these awards. So let's go to the next one, which is top assist maker / playmaker. Who's going to get the most assists? Which player in the Premier League? Now, this is interesting because obviously I'm a massive Tottenham fan and Joe's a Liverpool fan. But we'll explain why it's interesting in just a second. Joe, do you want to start off?
Yeah, so I think it will be Kane. I know it was a Liverpool 1-2-3 last year, but I just think Kane's got so much he's just incredible. Literally, he's got Kevin De Bruyne vibes about his passing. It's amazing. And I just think with obviously the addition of Richarlison, Kulusevski from the get-go, and Son being hungry for even more, trying to get the golden boot himself this year, he's just going to have a field day. And Kane started last year quite slowly after the whole City drama. So there was definitely a few assists he missed out on there. I just think Tottenham are going to be looking good. He's going to be even more bang in shape than last year. And I think it could be either him or Son, to be fair. But I think Son's a little bit more of a finisher now. And obviously Kane's amazing, but Son's a bit more lethal. And Kane is definitely just wants the best for the team. That might change the closer he gets to Shearer's record, but we'll see. But yeah, I think it might actually be Kane. I don't think it'll be the De Bruyne comment just there. I just think with Tottenham, and it's no disrespect, it's just the way that you play. You know, last year your goals and assists, other than a couple wing backs, and that came from your front three. Now you've got an extra attacker in the mix, but it still comes from that section. City's is so spread out. The fact that same with goals as well, which is a bit of a hint to later. It's so spread out where it's not kind of focused on one side of the pitch. And obviously last year, Salah, Trent, Robertson as the 1-2-3 for assists. Liverpool just channel it through those players, which is why they get the assists. Whereas City is so spread out. So, I mean, it could be anyone, but I'm going for Kane this time.
There you go, Harry Kane. So the Liverpool fans gone for the main Tottenham man, or one of the main Tottenham men. And the Tottenham fan is actually going to disagree. And I'm going to say, I'm sorry, guys. I think it's going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, he was second on the top assist last season with 12 assists. Salah beat him by 1 with 13 assists. I believe got an assist on the final game just to beat him. But I think the reason for this is Liverpool are going to have another great season. And Trent Alexander-Arnold just, although you think he's at the top of his game, he does seem to improve every season, doesn't he, Joe? And
yeah,
I just think he'll improve even more. You know, he's 23 at the moment. He's going to be 24 next season. He's starting to eke towards his prime. Can you believe it? He's not at his prime yet. He's a player I really do like. And the way Liverpool play with, you know, these bombing wing backs and the centre-backs playing at a high line, I just think 100%, well, not 100%, but that is who in my head I'm thinking. A lot of people saying De Bruyne, completely understand that. He will definitely be up there. Harry Kane will 100% be up there. I think I predicted that he's going to get 10, 11 assists, Harry Kane. But I think Trent could get even 13, 14 assists this season and even beat Salah's record of last season. So for me, Trent Alexander-Arnold, but I can see why also, for example, Leo's playing Kulusevski, obviously 8 assists in 6 months, in 5 months when he joined. Crazy numbers. Will he continue it? I obviously hope so, and I think he's a top player, but we'll wait and see. Lots of comments coming through about this one, so let's go through them very quickly. We've got one that says Kevin De Bruyne. Emil's gone for Bruno Fernandes. I don't know how serious that one is, but listen, he did have a bad season last year, but maybe he'll bounce back, to be fair. Simply Ace is going for De Bruyne. Peter Jury from the commentary box is going to score. Is going to get on for Golden Boot. Kulusevski, Alexander-Arnold, Trent will definitely be up there. Good shouts to Simply Ace. Salah for Joy Boy, and Robertson and Alexander-Arnold are class.
Got him with Darwin as well. Obviously, Trent's one that whips it in. We've now got a tall striker. That could be a huge difference because in the air, I think Jota actually scores the most headers for us before Darwin. He's actually amazing in the air. Same as Mane, but you've gone from people that are kind of not quite 6 foot. I know how that feels. And then you've got Darwin. So, I mean, a lot of height in there now, you know what I mean?
There you go. Leah saying if Ronaldo stays, Watchalong. There you go. Mahoi Hotspur's in here. He says, nice to finally catch your show, mate. Much love from Denver, Colorado, and Colorado Spurs. Big yourself up, mate. Thanks so much for joining. What's the time there? Must be like midday, right? Or something like that. Could be completely
up the Avalanches.
But up the Avalanches, there you go. A nice
As in Kadri.
As in Kadri. But thanks for joining, mate. Really do appreciate you joining. And feel free to get involved in the rest of the awards that we are predicting. So, Joe, it's over to one that we think's, well, I think it's going to be very quick to go through, which is team with most goals. Now, no prizes for this one. I kick it off very quickly. I said the Premier League winner is going to be Manchester City. I said about them breaking Premier League records and scoring over 100 goals in one season and 100 points. No prizes for guessing who I think's the team with the most goals. Is very easy for me. Manchester City. They trounced teams 5-6-0 at times. And when I say at times, I mean like every other week. The likes of, Leeds will probably lose 5-0 to Man City. The likes of Bournemouth could even lose 6-7-0 one week. Honestly, that is the kind of team they are. They have no mercy. And Pep Guardiola is still shouting at his players, even when they're 4-5-0 up, because he demands more. He is a perfectionist. And I'm not saying he's the only manager that's a perfectionist, but he just is relentless, even when they're winning by that margin. So for me, Man City easily.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. I think if they're going to win the league, they'll score the most goals again. They scored the most goals last season, and they did so without a striker. And I'm not saying that he's going to be top goal scorer, in my opinion, but I think adding Haaland into a team that already scores that many goals is just going to further even more. So, yeah, broken the record before, top scorers last season, and now they've got Haaland. So I just can't see them not getting top goals. I mean, I've seen a couple. Well, what a Liverpool comment now. I'll happily take that. But
yeah, one Liverpool, but most City.
Yeah, I think it's got to be City. Even if they don't win the league, which is like I think they will. I still think they could score the most goals just because of the way they play in some games.
Absolutely. Good comment. A good question here from Indranil. Really like your creative questions today, Indranil. He's saying, other than the top 6 teams' players, which player do you see creating the most chances or assists? Well, Jared Bowen was the 3rd top assist maker alongside Robertson, Harvey Barnes, who Joe thinks is going to have a very good season, and Mason Mount. So for me, Joe, well, actually not for me, but Joe, do you think it could be one of those guys, maybe a Harvey Barnes, like you were justifying earlier?
As soon as I read the comment, I thought about Jarrod Bowen.
Okay.
He's saying about chances as well. Like, I think Bowen's going to have a good season again. I think Barnes going to have a really good season. But in terms of chances, Bowen's pretty direct. He gets the ball a lot on that right-hand side. He's now got a new striker to feed as well. But in terms of like just creating a lot, I think Jarrod Bowen's probably the one for me.
Interesting. And also what's interesting is I've just looked at Wilfried Zaha. He got 14 goals last season, but only 1 assist. I guess it's because he's quite a direct player and he seems to, a lot of his penalties as well, aren't they? But
penalties and they look for him, yeah.
Yeah. But for me, you're saying Jarrod Bowen. It could also be like a James Maddison as well, don't forget. James Maddison potentially could be up there. Obviously, again, top 6, outside the top 6, you could look at Bukayo Saka. Of course, he's probably going to finish 7th, so that's outside the top 6. But yeah, Michael Hotspur saying Bowen is a good shout, and Salah had 13 assists. Do you think any records will be broken this season, Joe? Just very quickly on one more question.
No, I don't think the points total will get broken. I think the quality is improving, but it also means that with that, teams can't run away with that just as much. I think City will probably have that points total forever. I mean, we're in an era now where teams are getting... Liverpool got 97 points and didn't win the league. I mean, any other era, they would have won it by March. Like, it's ridiculous. So I can't see that getting broken personally. Obviously, we had Gabriel Jesus. I think it was him that scored at Bournemouth to get the 100 points. They got the goal thing.
I think it was Southampton they were at.
Yeah, Southampton away. Oh, yeah, Southampton away, not Bournemouth, yeah.
Don't know how I remember these kind of things, Joe. I don't even remember what I had for dinner yesterday, honestly.
I can't see... I mean, I don't want to be... I'd love to see one get broken. I mean, Salah's breaking a record a year at the moment, but I can't see anything too abnormal happening. I'm sure there'll be like a niche one that gets broken, but we'll see.
There you go. Leo's saying St. Maximum, Bowen's good shout. Army's in the building. And Golden Boot saying Maddison actually got 19 goals in all comps last season, plus 12 assists. Yeah, that is pretty impressive, isn't it, really? Very impressive. Okay, next award. Again, guys, feel free to comment what you guys think. The next one, it's similar to most improved player, but this is more a player that's kind of under the radar right now and is really going to flourish. He's really going to breakthrough. So this could be a new signing, or this could be a player that's technically, I guess you could say, like maybe not even a non-skip, but a player that's like under the radar and is going to come to the forefront and be talked about a lot. And so this is Breakthrough Player Award. Joe, do you want to kick us off again?
Yeah, so I've gone for a young talent that I think is going to, really establish themselves. And it may seem a bit biased, but I just think he's a baller. So I'm going my boy Fabio Carvalho. 19 years of age, incredible talent. Tried to get him in January. For some reason, Fulham said no, even though Liverpool said they'd loan him back. And then they ended up paying less because of a tribunal fee in the summer. So very interesting one there. But I think they were a bit rattled because of Harvey Elliott. So anyway, no, I just think he's so good. He's got so much to his game. I think he could be the first number 10 kind of player Liverpool have had since Felipe Coutinho left, which excites me already. I think he's 2-footed. He's great from outside the box. He's got a great pass on him. He's quick. He's agile. He's everything that you'd imagine in a Klopp player, but just so young. And he scored Premier League goal at the age of 16. I think it was when Fulham were last in the Premier League against Manchester United. And he's got something about him. I know he's English because he's been here since he was like the age of 13, 14. So he's played for the English youth teams, but he's got that Portuguese flair about him. And I just think, he was good at Fulham last year, come to the Premier League now, get good game time at Liverpool. And I think he will. I think he'll play more than people think. And he's going to really start to look decent.
Oh. I mean, how many games do you think it will start for Liverpool? Because obviously you've got so many attackers, but then you've lost Mane as well. I'm guessing you think your front three is going to be Salah, Jota and Diaz. But of course, then does Firmino come into it? Where does Carvalho fit into this team?
So in terms of starting, I don't think it'll be often. I don't think he's going to be starting more than half of the Prem games. I don't think he's probably even starting potentially 10, but he'll definitely come on a lot. Klopp loves to involve his young players and then rotate things all the time. sometimes at times that you don't really want him to, and it's a bit nervy in a game. And I see him, warming up Harvey Elliott to come on and Curtis Jones and taking off some class players. And I'm kind of thinking, what are you doing? But you always got to trust in him. It usually pays off. And with 5 subs, I think he's going to be making appearances at least every other game, if not a little bit more than that. Carabao Cup will be his as well. I just think he's going to get nurtured. Klopp is so good with these young players. Really becomes like a father figure in football, and I think he needs that. And I just think he's going to be really good. I don't think he'll start a lot. It depends on the system. I'm still not sure with how Liverpool are actually going to line up, but he's definitely going to get a lot of minutes.
Interesting, very interesting. And I don't think it's biased, Joe, because at the end of the day, like, he did very well for Fulham last year, didn't he? In the Championship. So whoever signed him was, it was always going to be Liverpool. You've been linked with him since January. You nearly signed him on that January window. I remember when we did that transfer deadline day stream. But over to my one. Do you know what? I've been debating this one all day in the afternoon. Every hour I've been thinking, who am I going to go for? Because I kind of went for the Palace guys as most improved because I feel like they're already on the scene. I feel like this award has to be someone that's really breaking through, either a new signing or someone that not many people have heard of. And I could be completely wrong on this one. And I think this is going to be probably the most controversial one of the whole stream. I think this one's going to anger you, actually, Joe. But I know that our Man United friends that we know in real life will like this one. I'm going for Alejandro Garnacho. And the reason why is I've seen him play a couple of friendlies, and only a couple. I cannot, start saying I've seen him play 9-10 games for the under-23s Man United. But this guy really did shine when he played against, I think they were playing at home the other days, like Rayo Vallecano or someone else, someone really random. And he was man of the match. He played unbelievably well and really did light it up. He had a whole highlights reel that I saw on TikTok about 7 times. So maybe I've been influenced a bit by social media on this one, right? Because at the moment, YouTube can make Emil Heskey look like a class player. But I did look up his records for Man United's youth team. And again, as we know, Joe, as we've discussed, youth football is very different to men's football. Hence why this is a bit of a shot in the dark. But don't forget, Man United have had players that have come through in recent years, like Elanga, who's actually a very decent player. Even Scott McTominay, obviously, in the first team all the time. I think that he could potentially be one that comes in and starts playing off the bench a lot this season. They've had, obviously, Rashford in previous seasons that's come through. They've had Mason Greenwood there, I mentioned him. But at the end of the day, this guy does look like a very decent little player. He's from Argentina. He's 18 years old. He scored 13 goals in 37 games for the under-23s and under-18s. In one season for the under-18s, he's got 7 goals in 16 games. So pretty decent stats. I think it's my shot in the dark. I think he could be decent. But I haven't even looked at the comments. I'm probably getting roasted. Let's have a look. Emil's saying Garnacho is a baller. What do you think of Fabio Silva? Joe, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I think he's all right. I think he's played a lot more than Wolves would have liked him to. They signed him for quite a hefty fee. I think it was actually a club record fee from Porto. And then Jimenez obviously fractured his skull against Arsenal. So he became the man. And I think he was going to be one that kind of got nurtured and eased into it. And he was thrown into the deep end, which is obviously great for experience. But he's not quite there yet. He's actually been loaned out, I think, to Belgium. I can't remember who it's for. It might be Anderlecht. So he's not actually going to be there this season, which they probably regretted now, seeing as Jimenez has just got injured again. But yeah, I think he looks all right. Again, he's only like 19, 20. So when people were kind of saying, oh, he's a flop or he's not good, he's still young. And to kind of give you a bit of weight to your Garnacho point, I think he's only 17 or 18. So even if he doesn't break through for another couple seasons, he can still be world class. He's so young. Like we just get so used to these players just booming like Haaland and Mbappe at such a young age that we forget like it's not always like that. Exactly.
The other day, Premier League winner and Champions League winner by was it the age of 19? It's just incredible.
Well, he's 23 now and he's won every trophy possible in club football.
There you go. And then the expectation's so big on them, but they probably primed early as well.
Especially as like a guy that comes through the academy. I did a written piece on him a while ago, and he's already been called up to the Argentina squad. He was a Spanish national before. He's got a mixture of parents, and they were that desperate to get him in. They called him up already just to kind of set him into the Argentinian side. So he's obviously highly rated. I mean, he's playing with Lionel Messi at international level and Cristiano Ronaldo at club level at the moment. I mean, that's not bad as mentors.
So you agree with me on this Garnacho guy then?
I think he could be really good. He's definitely not one I'm going to say there's no chance. And as I was trying to say to you as well, like, even if he doesn't break through for another couple of seasons, he's allowed to. He's very young. He's already broken through, I think. He's got... Yeah, he's class.
Joe Boy says Livramento. Again, I'd say he's already broken through. The one that's been mentioned a couple times, apart from Eddie Nketiah, which is absolutely ridiculous, Finn. I feel like you're winding me up. Is Julian Alvarez from Man City. Now, obviously, they've just signed him. Was it from River Plate?
Yeah. They signed him in January, but loaned him back out.
There you go. So, Moura Hotspur saying, hate to admit, but he's going to do some work.
Yeah.
I got a couple questions, Joe. I know we're kind of running out of time, but we've only got 2 more awards and they're going to be quite quick anyway. So I'm going to bring up these 2 questions. One is from Indranil. Again, Indranil, really appreciate your interaction. This stream really is great. He says, how do you see Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard? Well, very quickly, I already said Jesse Lingard, I think, is going to score 10 goals for Nottingham Forest this season. He's going to be a really pivotal part in keeping them up and accelerating them into 14th sort of place, I think. Dele Alli, as much it pains me to say, he's just don't know what's happened to him. Like, he's lost his mojo, he's lost his focus, and I can't see him improving back to levels like he was, nowhere near. Joe, do you agree on this one?
Yeah, see, I'm a bit worried of both of them. They're English, want them to do well. Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard, I think, were both in that 2018 World Cup team. And 2022 is coming round. And, I mean, Dele Alli's got no chance, even if he does have a resurgent kind of start to the season. But I think they both have the same problem. I think it's just attitude, stuff away from the field, the way they see themselves. And I guess it comes with that kind of everything that comes with being a footballer now. There's no humbleness to it. And the fact it speaks volumes to me. Lingard finally gets out of Manchester United after really wanting to go. West Ham are doing all they can, offering him 3-4 year deals, the money he wants. What a club to go to. I know this isn't going to go down too well on the Tottenham stream, but he signs for Forest, who are a very unknown quantity, and it's a 1-year contract. So basically, he's already not committing any loyalty to them. He's got the bag for 1 year. If they go down, I don't care. That for me, this is a massive red flag. I just think I look at for some reason it always pops up on like Snapchat and all the rest of it. There's just his stuff away from the field. He's like Ali with that on social media, and it's just, I think he needs a bit of a refocus. I think they both do, but I think they're both a lost cause at that point. I hope I'm wrong, and he probably still look really decent in that Forest team. But in terms of mentality, Roy Keane will be turning.
The thing is, defending Jesse Lingard out of the 2, I think he was incredible for West Ham over that lockdown period. Do you not think he could get back to those highs?
Yeah, but he got offered to go and he said no. So West Ham did all they could to sign him. He kind of put it off, signed probably a slight bump in wages by 20-30k to go to Forest. And I'm just... And he signed it for a year. So if he flops it there, those same offers might not come round again. Whereas he can... I'm even talking in terms of financial reasons. West Ham and just footballing reasons have made so much sense. And if it's a case of... I just think he's at West Ham. They're growing as a club. There's a lot of big characters there. Declan Rice is the one that's most loved. I think he's chosen Forest because he knows he's like, I'm going to be the man. After all this time being in the shadows at United, etc., I think he's like, I'm the one. I'm the one that everyone's going to buy shirts of. I'm the one everyone's going to have eyes on. I'm the guy here. And he knows he's like a big fish. And I think that's a bad mentality to have. He was good at West Ham because he was thriving off good players around him. I don't know. I think it's a lot to ask, and I hope I'm wrong because he seems like a good lad, and I'm not hating him on any personal level. I'm saying purely from a footballing standpoint. I'm just a bit concerned about the whole saga. I just don't know why he hasn't gone to West Ham personally.
Okay, interesting. Cool. Let's start with the next one, which is we've just done breakthrough. So the next one is Player of the Season. This is going to be in terms of who's going to get the PFA Player of the Year, or obviously the other various awards that are on that caliber. So basically, who's going to be the best player in the Premier League this season, Joe?
Kevin De Bruyne. I think he's incredible. And obviously it helps when you win the Premier League. Usually it gives you a bit of a boost in terms of who's going to get the Player of the Season because it just goes hand in hand with it. I think he's quality. I just think it's a controversial one. Obviously, Salah's amazing. I think in terms of an all-round player, and again, this is pretty nice for Kane. I think De Bruyne probably is the best player in the league. He's definitely one of them. He's definitely up there in the top. He's always in the conversation. You can't argue with that. He's just screams quality. And if he can get a link up with Haaland, if he's the force that drives that City team on, as brilliant as they are, without him, they're nowhere near as good. And you can see that when he's not playing. He's just a different beast. How he took that game against Wolves, a really big point in the season. And we've seen it as well. Champions League final, he came off injured. They just couldn't pick it up after that. For some reason, they took him off against Real Madrid. They lost. He's so good. And obviously, he's probably getting towards coming off the end of his prime now. He's getting on a little bit. I think if they win in the league, he'll get player of the season. And he fully deserves it if he does.
There you go. So I think it's quite interesting what you said about, obviously, you've said that you think that Harry Kane's going to be the top assists. You think that the top scorer, we haven't said it yet, so I'm not going to ruin it. But I think obviously Kevin De Bruyne doesn't have to score the most goals or most assists. I think what you've said is a good point about normally the player of the season is from the team that wins it. It's a bit like the Ballon d'Or. Whoever wins the Champions League normally is usually a player from the Champions League winning team that wins the Ballon d'Or. So, yeah, good point. And
it's not all about stats, though. Like, it's not a case of if he doesn't get assists, he can't get it. I mean, without rustling some feathers, I don't know how Son wasn't even mentioned in the conversation. And
this is what I'm trying to say. This is my point. Like, how is Heung-min Son not being up there in even the nominations? I think you got to admit, like Sadio Mane got nominated and he got far less goals, far less assists. But because Liverpool came second, he was in the running. But anyway, that's another conversation. That one was an absolute joke. I mean, every single person agrees with that. Kev's in here. Big up, Kev. Thanks for joining. Same as Bobby K, mate. Thanks for joining as well. Indra Neil saying Salah, Kevin De Bruyne, Son or Kane, if their significant contribution helps Spurs get to second. So again, I guess what you're saying is you've got to get second if a Spurs player is going to be considered, which you can kind of agree with. I mean, how did that season as well, like when Ruben Dias won it? I mean, just absolute joke. I mean, Harry Kane got most goals and most assists that season. And he wasn't even top 3 or something. It was absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah. I think, again, it's the favourite. Like, it's because you came 7th. It's not right, but the way the voting works, it's just...
it's not a team award. It's an individual award.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, let's not get too angry about this one. My player of the season is, you can call it bias. I think it's going to be Harry Kane. I've said so many videos that I think he's going to be having an incredible season. I think he's going to get about 10 assists. I think he's going to get 20 plus goals this season. I think he's going to get about 30 goal contributions. Call me crazy, but I think he got nearly that last season anyway.
26, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's going to get more goals this season because he's, like you said about the Shearer record, he's got that in the back of his mind, although it's probably more in the front of his mind secretly. He's going to want to score more goals. He's going to still drop deep, but I still think Conte is going to want him in the middle more. And maybe with Richarlison coming in, we'll change the dynamic of how we play slightly. And Kulusevski could even come inside and play deeper. I think he will switch it up a little bit this season. Obviously, it worked last season, but there will be slight changes. And I think Harry Kane will hopefully get a better delivery with Matt Doherty being more available. And I had an argument again with people on social media today. People saying Spence should start over Doherty. That's in another video, but there's no way Spence starts over Doherty. We saw those 5 or 6 games from Doherty last season. His delivery for Kane was incredible. His delivery for Son was incredible. And if we can get him firing again in a 5 at the back system, I think Doherty could be a decent player for Spurs this season. And then obviously left wing back Perisic, he's going to be putting incredible balls in. We had Reguilon last season, and you guys know, I don't fully rate Reguilon, especially his final product. So it's going to be more goals for Kane this season, higher finish for Spurs, and then player of the season for Harry Kane. That's my
Easily could happen.
That's my prediction. But again, could be wrong. Who knows? That is part of this. Harry Kane, after he reclaims the golden boot and playmaker, says, Leo, with player sales and who we've bought, how much is left to spend on players? Does it feel like to you that our spending has stopped or very much drying up? Just very quickly, because we're going to obviously do a couple of videos this week. I think we're going to still sign 1 more player, but some people think we're going to suddenly sign 2 or 3 more players. I just think we're going to do a classic Spurs where we've had a decent window, but we haven't fully done it. And yes, you can't do everything in one window, but if you're going to back Conte and you're going to say you're going to invest 100 million, 150 million cash injection, you've got to do it. If you look at our net spend, when we sell Lo Celso, if we sell Winkson and Ndombele, we haven't actually spent 150 million pounds. No way. Because we've sold, we're going to be selling players as well. Yes, Richarlison was 60 million pounds, but you've got to look at our outgoings as well. There's no way do you think we're going to be on track to spend 150 million net, Joe?
Depends how the season starts. I mean, I could definitely see Conte going mental if it doesn't start how you want it to. You have brought in 6 players. I know the expenditure's not there, but you've brought in a backup keeper, 2 wing backs, centre back, a centre mid, and a forward. So you covered a lot of areas that obviously stuff that we've been saying for ages on this podcast. But yeah, I mean, there's still like a month of the window left. I know obviously it seems like it's a bit of a panic because of the season starting a bit earlier. There's so much time, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're waiting just to see how it goes. And you also don't want to rush to sign people, so I don't think you should be too alarmed. If you do, and he makes that promise, and you bring someone in, okay, but they've got to be the right player as well, and they're probably waiting for those sales to happen first.
Yeah, but I completely get what you're saying, but just quickly, we bought £91 million of players in Richarlison, Bissouma, and Spence. Perisic was a free, Forster was a free, Lenglet was a loan. So we spent £90 million, right? We've already sold Bergwijn for 30 million almost with add-ons. Cameron Carter-Vickers has gone for 6. So we've gained back 35 million, which is a difference of about 55 million. So net spend is 55 million, and we've been promised a war chest of 150 million. So essentially we have 100 million to play with. But for me, I really am concerned we're not going to fully spend it. And that is going to get people. If we start performing badly to start with, all hell will break loose in the Tottenham community. I'm telling you right now. Centre back priority, we haven't scratched the 150 million. Exactly. Anyway, without going off on one, Kev thinks we should get Milenkovic, the centre back from Fiorentina, for 12.5 million. Could be a good buy. There's so many good players out there. Regardless of net spend, if you've got what Conte asked for, needed. But I don't think we have. I don't think we have got everything Conte asked for. That's just what I'm saying. I feel like Paratici's been cooking, but I feel like we haven't got on enough. And a lot of that, as we know, comes back to potentially Daniel Levy. But again, this is for another video. I don't want to go off on one. I'm just on this one just now. The final one, guys, is top goal scorer. Now, I've already mentioned mine, and I think it is going to be. Well, I said Harry Kane for the Tottenham only one, and I've said numerous times how much I think Erling Haaland's going to be a beast. And I think it's going to be very close between the two of them. But I think just because of how good Man City are and how many people can deliver balls into the box and how many goals they're going to score when he gets going, when he adapts that team and the style of play, I think Erling Haaland will just edge it. And I think he could score about 24 or 25 goals this season. Joe?
He could easily do that. I still stand by my stance of the goals are more spread out at City. And I think he's got to adapt to the Premier League. He's got to adapt how they play. He's so used to, playing on the counter-attack, sprinting behind the defence, and latching onto that ball and just being lethal. Whereas City have a lot of the possession, so he's going to have to adapt to that as well. He's going to be very much kind of the poaching area, trying to get those tap-ins, which isn't exactly what he's used to either. I'm sure it will do amazing, and I think people are getting way too carried away with that Community Shield. He had a bad game. It happens. At the same time, he hasn't faced Virgil van Dijk before, so that's how that works. But I think it'll be Mo Salah, purely because he's got that contract stuff behind him now. He still got 22 goals last year, even though he had a massive, for him anyway, dry spell after the New Year and after the Egypt heartbreak. Obviously, he's not got the AFCON disappointment to deal with. He's not qualified for the World Cup, so he's going to have all of that time to be prepared. Harry Kane's going to be playing for England and try, or hopefully bringing it home. Salah's not got that. He can rest, he can recharge, and contract behind him, penalty taker as well. I know Kane is. I just think he's proven as well. He's been Liverpool's top scorer and nearly Prem top scorer ever since he's been at the club. And I just think he's going to do it again, personally.
Yeah, no, I can't even argue that as well. Especially with Mane, obviously you're going to lose a lot of goals. Maybe Mane didn't quite score as many as he has in previous seasons, but he still normally scores 15, 20 goals. And the goals have then got to come from somewhere else. Like you said, I think a lot of them will come from Luis Diaz, but also Salah will probably pick up some of those as well. So can really see Mo Salah as well, Joe, to be honest with you. Leopold thinks 28 for Kane, 21 for Salah, and 19 for Son. And Simply Ace is saying 1 Son, Kane. You think they're going to get 2 top scorers? I don't see it, Simply Ace. 3 Salah, 4 Haaland. But I do think
if Kane gets 28 and Son gets 19, you're on for a bloody good season.
but going with Simply Ace's one here, that would be incredible as well. But listen, I think also you got to consider with Spurs is I personally don't agree with this because I think we'll see goals from Kulusevski as well. Maybe even Richarlison could hit the ground running. So I think the goals will not be more spread out, but I don't think it'd just be Kane and Son. But if this happens, incredible. We'd be expected to be right up there. But I think this 4 that is on screen, but not necessarily in that order, is probably one of the favourites. Obviously, Núñez has been talked about. It depends how well he does. You know, he could score 15 goals, 20 goals. Who knows? What's that?
I said, yes, please.
There you go. But that covers all of our awards, Joe, that I've written down. We've done Prem winner, Overachiever, Flop team, Most Improved Player, Top Assist Maker, Most Goals from a Team, Breakthrough Player, Player of the Season, and Top Scorer. So around 10 awards for you guys. Great to see what you guys think as well. If you're watching this offline, comment below exactly who you think wins that award at the end of the season. It'd be interesting to see what you guys think. It's been over an hour of content. I said to Joe about 40 minutes, and as per, I haven't stuck to it because, you know, we get chatting and we like interacting with the chat. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this.
I think I'm pretty chatting for half an hour.
It's been great, Joe. So no worries on that one. Please, guys, smash a thumbs up if you do enjoy the content. We're looking forward to bringing you the vlog later in the week from Jack. We're looking forward to talking tomorrow night on the match preview for Southampton. So please do tune in then as well. Thanks to all you guys, new faces. Indranil's been great in this chat. Simply Ace, Leo, Kev, you guys, Bobby, Mile High Hotspur. It's been great to talk to you guys. All the people that have joined the SpursRelatables, thanks for joining today. Subscribe if you are new. Joe, thanks so much for joining me, mate, and great opinions as always.
Happy you back him. I mean, we'll see who's right at the end of the season. It'd be nice to come back and revisit this at the end and see just how clueless we were.
Yeah, exactly that. How off we are. But yeah, great stuff as always. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Like I said, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Have a good evening. And as always, I'm on my own for this one, as you know. Come on, you Spurs!